The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Dylan J. Schlender presiding. Your eyes for the Honorable Judge Schlender.
Be seated.
Boo.
What? What's the booing? Okay. Bailiff, put him in contempt.
You're gonna need some brownie points from the judge. What are you thinking?
All right. Where was I here? Shuffling my papers. All right. Banging my gavel. All right. Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of Death Proof versus Planet Terror. Both released in 2007 as Grindhouse, moviegoers were treated to a double feature. Death Proof following a group of women terrorized by a maniac stunt driver, and Planet Terror following a ragtag group of survivors during a zombie outbreak. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, in civil cases like this, the counsel appointed to represent each film will present their case for why their client is the superior movie. And ultimately, the jury will render its verdict as to which is the better film. This decision will hereby stand in all rankings and listicles from now on until the end of time, ad infinitum. Mr. Addison Binek, my favorite lawyer in this court. You are representing Death Proof. You may begin your opening statement.
Well, I truly believe that Death Proof is the superior feature in the Grindhouse experience. It, more so than Planet Terror, captures, I believe, what it was like to have seen exploitation theaters and drive-ins and grindhouses all throughout the 60s and 70s and 80s for a multitude of reasons. I mean, it was shot on film as opposed to Planet Terror, which was shot digitally. It has authentic scratches embedded into the film because Quentin and his editor Sally dragged the film through the parking lot. And, you can't reverse that once that's done. So that's real, scratched up film. And much like exploitation films of the 60s and 70s and 80s, I mean, you got a badass poster promising high-octane car chases, which it does deliver, but not as much as maybe the poster would suggest. And that, to me, is true Grindhouse exploitation.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Binek. Appearing on behalf of Planet Terror is Mr. Maynard Bangs, my second favorite lawyer in this courtroom.
No.
Your opening statement.
Addison, I could stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
If you are thinking of voting for Death Proof, don't. If you are thinking of buying into Addison's lies, don't. If you are thinking of going into that jury room, don't. Because we haven't had time to send the bailiff in to clean it up after the last deliberation.
Oh, okay.
If I have to sum up what makes Planet Terror the better of the Grindhouse films, I think it is the better characters. Cherry has an actual arc and undergoes change throughout the film. Unlike Stuntman Mike, who is kind of static, kind of unrealized. I think it has the better pacing, doing much more with its runtime than having those characters sit and talk endlessly. It gives us plenty of action and gory sequences, whereas Death Proof is mostly dialogue-driven, and then winds up killing off most of its characters anyhow, so what they had to say doesn't matter, because they're dead. And finally, I just prefer the zombie genre over the muscle car flick. There are more classics of the genre to pay homage to, so it feels more like a pastiche of zombie films than Death Proof does of car films, which I know like too. So, if you are thinking of voting against Planet Terror, don't.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Mr. Binek, you may proceed with your first exhibit.
Well, this is my Mecca. I mean, that's a reference to another trailer. I love Death Proof. I loved it the first time I saw it. I saw Grindhouse opening Friday night in April of 2007. It was my senior year of high school, and leading up to the release of this movie, I mean, we had been going maybe 6 months, 8 months of advertisement and promotions. I was a big horror fan leading up to the movie anyway, but this subgenre, Grindhouse, exploitation films, that was all new to me. And so I spent many hours renting movies from Netflix when that still could deliver DVDs to your doorstep. And I did the homework. And if it hadn't been for Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez making Grindhouse, I wouldn't have done that homework. But boy, did it pay off, because it was a true exercise in learning what Grindhouse and exploitation movies were. Yes, they had a lurid, exciting title. Yes, the box art, the poster promised gruesome gore like Planet Terror does. But what Death Proof does, that is, I think, in more the spirit of what Grindhouse and exploitation and drive-in movies are, you get these long, drawn-out conversations, and then a bang, a car crash, explosion, some action, and then you get some more long, drawn-out dialogue. These are what drive-in exploitation movies were. Yes, they promised excess violence and gore, but that's not what the whole movie was. That was just the promise of getting your ass at the drive-in. And then you had to sit through boring exposition or just filmmakers fumbling their way through their movies, much like Herschel Gordon Lewis and, filmmakers of that ilk who really didn't even know what they were doing. They were just businessmen making films for money. That's what an exploitation movie is. That's what a Grindhouse movie is the promise of something. And yes, you get your money's worth in, small aspects here and there, but it's more the presentation. It's more the showmanship. And that is why I think Death Proof is the superior Grindhouse movie in just the spirit of what it is. Yes, Planet Terror does have disgusting special effects and gore and all kinds of action and explosions, but that's not what a Grindhouse movie is. They didn't have those kinds of budgets. They weren't wall-to-wall gore fests. They were car crashes, real car crashes, no CGI, real stunt people blowing shit up. Again, to me, that's just what a Grindhouse experience is all about.
Mr. Bangs, would you like to respond to this point about the authenticity of the Grindhouse genre as it relates to the films?
Well, I think it's a convenient escape valve to say that most of this movie is 90% dialogue because it's trying to sort of follow the model of Grindhouse films. But then that's not an explanation for why the rest of Quentin Tarantino's movies are all 90% dialogue and nothing else happening. This is Tarantino's style more than it is him trying to replicate Grindhouse. I mean, he just is really in love with the way he writes his own dialogue, and so most of his films are dominated by dialogue. You look at Hateful Eight or Inglourious Bastards. There's a lot of scenes of people just sort of talking, and I don't think either of those were trying to replicate Grindhouse films either. Now, both movies, I think, do sort of try to follow the mold of these low-budget films that they're sort of aspiring to be like. As an example, Bruce Willis is in Planet Terror for such a very brief time and only in his own frame and only in his own shot, which the filmmakers sort of, at least Robert Rodriguez insists, is sort of to create that authenticity too of the Grindhouse, where they'd have a big name guy who would only appear briefly despite being like very top billing. But at the end of the day, they probably also couldn't afford Bruce Willis for an entire movie. So it's sort of a convenient escape valve that both movies can kind of use of like, oh, well, we were really boring because we were inspired by really boring movies, that's why we did it. It was on purpose.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bangs. Mr. Binek, if you'd like to redirect or move on to another point.
Well, I'd also like to just bring up the fact that, again, the authenticity and the whole overall experience of, Robert Rodriguez shot his movie digitally. And so all of the scratches, all of the continuity errors, all of the bad stuff that's in it, yes, it's authentic, but I see it as more of a almost satirical approach. Like his movie is funnier, I think, than Death Proof, except for maybe the ending of Death Proof when Stuntman Mike gets taken out like a little bitch, which is one of my favorite moments in any Quentin Tarantino film. But there's something a little hollow about Planet Terror, where I feel like this is a guy who likes these kind of movies because Quentin Tarantino showed them to him. And so he wants to impress his friend using his filmmaking style by making these kinds of movies in kind of the way and style that Robert knows, but Quentin will like. Again, you know, I feel like the 70s and the 80s were these kinds of movies were dominated by big action movies and like movies by Jack Hill, you know, movies like Coffee, you know, like, I mean, obviously Vanishing Point is a reference throughout the whole thing. But, you know, zombie subgenre to me never quite felt Grindhouse or exploitation. That's more Romero's turf. Or you do have stuff like Nightmare City, which is, you know, Italian splatter. But to me, it feels more like a John Carpenter style 80s movie, Escape from New York with zombies. But that to me doesn't feel Grindhouse. That doesn't feel exploitation. That just feels like that could have been an 80s action movie, which is perfectly fine. It's a very entertaining film. But I feel like, again, Death Proof, just it nails down the whole feeling of it, the authenticity, and what a Grindhouse exploitation kind of movie was.
All right. Maynard, you kind of respond to that already, if you'd like to say
well,
anything
no,
else,
but
or...
I in this point, I think I'll concede to Addison. I think that Planet Terror doesn't feel like a Grindhouse exploitation film. It feels more like a video nasty.
Yes.
More out of like 80s VHS. So Rodriguez he'd been wanting to make his zombie movie since the late 90s anyhow. So I think he found this as being like the great opportunity to do it. But as far as it feeling so much like an exploitation film, I don't think it does. Obviously, the Carpenter stuff is all intentional. He was playing the soundtrack to Escape from New York and The Thing throughout filming a lot of this movie. And he actually got John Carpenter to do some of the score for Planet Terror as well. And then ultimately Robert Rodriguez did the rest of the score. So a lot of the score you hear in Planet Terror is Robert Rodriguez doing the John Carpenter style of just noodling on some keyboard or guitar and just sort of, so that's something very authentic. So I agree, it's not very authentic grindhousey, but it is sort of this authentic attempt at like a video nasty. So it's kind of a balancing act where he obviously got stuck into this project, and that was where he thought he could get his zombie movie made. So he had to do a couple of things like with the missing reel. But I think this movie's too exciting and too high budget to really feel like a Grindhouse movie.
All right. Mr. Binek, if you'd like to present another exhibit.
Okay. I'd like to present the structure of Death Proof. You know, you're tagging along with this group of women, Jungle Julia and her gang, and you know, you think they're the main characters. You think you're going to be following them throughout the whole movie. You know, you're with them for the first maybe 55 minutes or so. Stuntman Mike is introduced. 45 minutes?
Well, 45 minutes is when Rose McGowan gets killed. 51 minutes in is when the rest of the girls are murdered.
Okay. Well, either way, you think that these characters are going to be the main characters. Why wouldn't they be? But the structure of the film is very unique in that halfway through the movie, all of a sudden, these main characters that you've been hanging out with, that you've been learning all their backstories, their history with each other, their friendships is very deep-rooted. They are taken out halfway through the movie. They are fucking gone. Stuntman Mike just eviscerates them. And so now you have this other half of the movie that, yes, it's another group of women, but they're totally different than the first group. And all of their personalities, their likes, everything is totally different. It's party chicks in the front half and then badasses in the second half. But you don't expect halfway through the movie for this cast to just be taken out like that. It's cool because, you know, that's a psycho switch. That doesn't really happen. I think that's a very brave and bold choice to all of a sudden just split your movie right down the middle and say, here's two halves of, it's the same film and Stuntman Mike is the connecting tissue. But it's unexpected, it's surprising, and I really, really love that about the film.
We say connective tissue a lot on this show. Mr. Bangs, do you have a response to this bifurcation of Death Proof?
Well, I think Addison hit it on the head when he referenced Psycho. I think it's supposed to be sort of a call to Psycho, which is not a Grindhouse movie. even in its own right. But
Did Hitchcock make a Grindhouse movie?
I wonder if something like Frenzy would have hit the
too classy
at all. But yeah, I think it's still even a little too classy, even though people are getting choked by neckties. So I don't really. So it's not that I don't mind the switch, but this reminds me a lot of our case of Iron Man 3. If you're going to do the swerve and replace all of your actors halfway through the movie, then give us something better when you do it. I think we'd all agree that the first group of girls is a lot more interesting than the second group of girls. I think we can
No.
then you're all crazy.
Order, please.
You're all crazy because I think the second group of girls is much more dull. You have the cheerleader actress who kind of just sort of follows along. You have Kim, who's the wheel person, like the female version of a wheel man. Like she's not in a wheelchair. I know they're not called wheel persons.
We'll cut that. Don't worry.
I'm keeping that. But she's the wheel man, the wheel woman. Zoe Bell, I agree. I like Zoe Bell. And Zoe Bell might be the strongest of all 8. But she's the one who's strongest of all 8. She's the one most interesting one in the second group. And then you have Rosario Dawson with terrible bangs. Awful bangs. I don't even really want to listen to anything she has to say because her hair is just terrible. I don't know why they did that to her.
I'll agree about the bangs.
Whereas in
Courtney Cox and Scream 3 bangs.
in group 1, I'm very interested in Sidney Poitier as Jungle Julia. I'm interested in. I don't really care what happens with her relationship so much, but she's a very popular DJ, and people come up to her, and I'm very much engaged with her character, and I'm also very interested in Butterfly. Like, we spend so much time learning about what makes Butterfly uncomfortable and comfortable. We spend so much time kind of developing her personality just by watching her react to things, that to then just have it ripped away in such a quick fashion, that I wanted to see more of Butterfly. I'd have been cool if Butterfly survived somehow and then she had to get some revenge against Stuntman Mike, but just to have all 4 killed, and you don't even know the 4th girl, she just brought the weed and then got killed. And then there's the Texan one. But I think Butterfly and Jungle Julia are really the core in the beginning, and they are more interesting than the girls we get later, who spend most of their time talking about a car. That is largely what they do with most of their time.
All right.
And then as far as satire, I know we mentioned earlier, but I think the death of the girls it's sort of funny. Especially the way the tire hits poor Butterfly's face. Like, it's not shot exactly with horror. I because it happened so quick and the music was so high paced and happy that it's not quite horrifying. I think it's done sort of to be more goofy and funny.
Well, would you like to respond to that point, Mr. Binek? Was that done for the yucks?
I mean, yes, it's Quentin Tarantino, so the violence is always going to be over the top for comedic effect. Right. But I would argue that the second group of women are far more interesting than the first group, just because the first group, they're just out for a good time, looking to party.
Right.
There's not a whole lot to them. I will say that, yes, Butterfly is probably the most interesting of the bunch, but I think that's what makes it so shocking is how terrifying her death scene is when the back tire rips her whole face off. And so now when you're thrust into the second half of the movie and you know that Stuntman Mike is still out there like the shark from Jaws, that this new group of women who seem at first, because you don't know the car stuff yet, they seem like they're fucked. There's no way they're going to survive Stuntman Mike if that first group didn't. And so, I don't know, I think by having the rug pulled out from under us, by having a character like Jungle Julia and having a character like Butterfly killed like that so early, it makes you fear for the second group even more so.
All right, Mr. Binek, I'll let you move on to another point if you have one.
I think Stuntman Mike is one of the greatest movie villains of all time.
Here we go.
Stuntman Mike is... I'm so glad that Mickey Rourke passed on the role because that's who Quentin wrote it for. And I don't know if I would have liked the movie as much just because I love Kurt Russell, who doesn't. Escape from New York is amazing. And just what he brings to the movie, is something that Mickey Rourke I don't think can do.
Sobriety.
You see Mickey Rourke, and he's just that's just movie villain. That is movie villain. But the way that Kurt Russell plays Stuntman Mike, he's charming. He's a murderous, lunatic, psychopath villain, and instead of killing people with a giant butcher knife or an axe, he's killing people with his car. That's a really cool, unique twist on the slasher genre as well. But the way that Kurt Russell plays that character, that wink to the camera when he's about to take off with Pam and go, wreak havoc. There's just that twinkle in his blue eyes that it's just like, oh yeah, this is a character who I want to be in the passenger seat. This seems like a lot of fun. He invites you to the party with him, and just the way that he plays that character is brilliant. I love his John Wayne impression when he's talking about, putting them in the book and all that stuff. It's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean, he's very, very unassuming. And I don't know, there's just something about that character ranks top tier for me in Tarantino's rogue gallery of villains.
In my book, that's not so good.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, Mr. Bangs, would you like to respond to Stuntman Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think Stuntman Mike to me is a little bit unrealized and vague. Like, we don't know a lot about his backstory. I mean, he says he was formerly a stuntman. It doesn't necessarily have to be true. He does have the car. He seems to have the experience. But more than that, I don't think we ever have an idea of his motivation. Why is he killing these women? Is this his first kill, or is this something he does serially? Because I don't think that we ever get that from the hospital scene of whether he's ever done this before. I would think that the sheriff would have looked into that to see whether he frequently gets into car accidents where only he survives. So if this is his first time, what made him choose to go through with it? What is it about Jungle Julia's group that makes them desirable to kill, like over anyone else that he could just randomly find, right? I mean, there's tons of people already on the road. He seems to really target and pick them, and I'm not sure I ever understand exactly why. So he's mysterious in some ways, but I think it's more so just vague. I think he's played magnetically. I think Kurt Russell is great, but like, he's just kind of Kurt Russell driving around, right? Even with the wink, you lose Stuntman Mike there, and I just see Kurt Russell with a scar. So I'm not sure that I find him even all that menacing in that way. He's been described a couple of times here as like a maniac, and I don't get maniac from Stuntman Mike. He's so measured. Everything he has to do doesn't have to just be premeditated. It needs to be calculated, like down to a T. So he's not insane by any means, because he's going through all of his steps so meticulously that he's got his shit together. He just wants to kill people. And why? That why is what I don't understand. And I think his choice of weapon is an interesting one. He bangs Rose McGowan to death by steering the car around, is how he bangs her to death. He doesn't bang her to death. And then he watches
it's a different exploitation.
Right. And then he watches her die, right? And really slowly watches the life drain out of her. That is a moment where I see kind of a psychopath moment, where you kill your victim and you want to see the life leave their eyes. But he doesn't do that with any of the other women because he's through a car, right? So killing everyone else through his car is so impersonal. It's not like a knife where you're really penetrating, or an axe where you're really cutting up. It's distance. It's sort of impersonal and impartial. And I think that keeps him from being because he can't enjoy their deaths in the same way he could Rose McGowan. It makes him a very kind of confused character for me, and an entertaining one. I like Kurt Russell, but again, I still kind of think he's just Kurt Russell.
All right. Any other exhibits you'd have, Mr. Binek? Or if you'd like
music. I mean, the soundtrack to the movie is an absolute banger. I mean, some of those songs that Quentin chose for the soundtrack, I had the CD, back when it came out, and I would listen to that thing all the time.
Tell me the band that does Hold Tight.
What's that?
What band does Hold Tight?
Bunch of names. Dave
on.
D, Dozy.
Mitch and Titch.
Mitch, I was gonna
Nope.
say, yeah, Mitch and
There's
Titch.
Beaker in there.
He was missing for that one. Oh yeah.
No, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it's actually it's Mick and Tish. I don't know if Tarantino got it wrong on purpose because Mitch and Titch, but it's actually Mick and Titch.
That's a very unusual error as well, for someone like him. I don't know, it had to have been, or maybe she's drunk and just didn't know the name or forgot that one. But either way, I think the soundtrack from top to bottom is just perfect. I love Pulp Fiction. I love the songs on there. I love the songs in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But when you sit down and just listen to the Death Proof CD from top to bottom, there isn't a song worth skipping. So I would also argue that because of the music choices in the film, the 60s and 70s rock and roll that's on there is despite Robert Rodriguez's amazing score for Planet Terror, I'd rather listen to the Death Proof soundtrack.
All right, and would you like to rest on that?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Bangs, you may present any further argumentation you have in favor of Planet Terror or to tear down Death Proof, and of course you can respond to what Mr. Binek just said.
Well, since we're still on the topic of Death Proof, I think that the idea that he could survive this crash is a bit dubious, right?
Isn't that the whole point of the movie?
Right, but that car isn't right. But that's not really a stunt car. They're not necessarily death proof. Plenty of stunt people have died, and that's usually when they have paramedics and a crew to immediately extract them. This guy just gets into an accident on the highway, doesn't have a helmet, doesn't seem to have his neck braced in any special way where whiplash wouldn't affect him, and then he has no safety crew to extract him should his car explode at the end of the accident. So I think the idea that it's death proof is pretty dubious compared to stuntmen in a very controlled situation who still get hurt plenty. That I'm not sure he would actually have survived this crash. And another thing I want to touch on too, what happens to poor Lee in the end? Right? They leave her with that Southern guy who they borrow the car from. What happens to her? The movie sort of subtly suggests she's going to get raped. And her friends left her there and the movie does that for a laugh. Basically just leaving her in a very dangerous situation that never gets resolved or anything. We're just sort of meant to worry about what happens to poor Lee. What happens to Lee, Addison? Tell me.
If you'd like to respond, Addison.
I don't know.
She's not okay is the point. And she's really not going to be okay when they bring that crashed up car too. And I do want to talk about...
That's a different movie. That's
Death Proof 2, the insurance.
That would be Quentin Tarantino's Thunderbolt 2.
Very, very possible. And then I know you did mention that the movie had a lot of talking. And this is precisely how much talking, if it helps you, anyone here who's listening on how slow-paced Death Proof is. The lap dance doesn't happen until 39 minutes in. Rose McGowan is killed at the 45-minute mark. The first crash happens at the 50-minute mark. Then we get nothing again till about an hour 20 in. And that's when they kind of start that's when they rent the car, about an hour 20 in. And they don't start playing Ship's Mast until 90 minutes in past that. So an hour and a half before they even climb onto the hood of that car. And you ask yourself, what happened in those 90 minutes prior? And it was mostly a lot of talking, listening to music with Quentin Tarantino. That was a lot of what happened. So I think that the pacing of this movie is really, really hard, especially when it's an extended version. I watched them separately, so I watched the extended. And being nearly 2 hours, it is a long movie. Did I lose everyone?
Oh, no,
you just dropped out.
Yeah, you dropped out for a second.
I stopped talking. Aren't you going to pass it?
You said it was a long, and then...
It was a long movie.
Oh, okay.
That could have been misinterpreted as a joke. It was
I was kind of waiting for it too, and I was like, okay, what's Maynard doing? He's he's kind of like the clown here. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve.
What do you mean the clown? Ask the opposition if he has any responses to.
I don't think I will. I want you to go ahead with your next point.
Fine. I think that Planet Terror has the better characters. Because they actually have arcs and go through some changes, especially in terms of Cherry Darling, our protagonist, who undergoes sort of, like I said, an arc throughout the film. She starts as an unhappy go-go dancer, but her job leaves her feeling unfulfilled. So she walks out on it. You know, she feels she's destined to be more. She takes her responsibility in her own hands and she walks out of a situation she's not happy to be in. So I think we can already identify with Cherry. I know I do, right from that moment. And we find out she used to have this relationship with El Rey, who drives a record truck, and they meet each other at the barbecue place together. But this relationship fell apart. But throughout the course of the movie, the two reunite. And El Rey is always pushing her to find her purpose. Even after she loses her leg and she couldn't feel worse about herself, El Rey insists she has value. He says he believes in her. He picks her back up and puts her on her feet. Literally, he gives her both her new prosthetic legs, if they qualify for that term. No special occasion, no birthday, it's not Christmas. He just gives her a gift of a machine gun leg for no other reason than that he cares. Take notes, Big Ben.
True romance.
And through El Rey and his support, Cherry is able to become more than she was before. Is able to become what she wants to be. She becomes basically a leader of the human survivors and a protector of her people. She gains responsibility and she steps up and is ready to undergo that responsibility. People look up to her and look to her for guidance. So her entire life has been turned around through this tragedy and through her relationship and support from El Rey, and she's able to become a very inspiring, admirationable person.
Addison, would you like to respond to the relative merits of the characters in the respective films?
I don't know. I mean, I too enjoy Cherry Darling, and I enjoy El Rey. You know, the cast of characters are not an issue for me. It's more just, I'd say, some of the writing and directing, but that's not what we're talking about right now.
It could be.
Could be. Of course, if there's any of the writing and directing that you don't like, he did that on purpose to replicate Grindhouse films of the time.
Oh, very clever, Mr. Maynard.
I think he did it to impress his buddy Quentin Tarantino.
Very possible, too. Quentin, I know you like bad writing.
I know you like feet scenes.
There were some of that.
Yes, you get both. You get both movies.
And not to take a backseat to Death Proof, I think that Planet Terror has plenty of girl power as well. Besides Cherry's character, you also have Marley Shelton's character. She's the nurse. And she leaves her dangerous and unpredictable husband, Josh Brolin, and he's abusive and controlling. And she walks out on him in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Talk about inconvenience timing, you know. And she ultimately gets to murder him, and basically kind of gets to take control of her life, minus losing her son. But she is also able to then join the resistance with Cherry and continue the survival of the human race. And even the babysitter twins, they don't take any shit. They won't tolerate not being paid. They end up surviving all the way to the end. They make it to the beach by El Castillo in Tulum, Mexico at the end, part of Cherry's crew. So there are a lot of aspirational female characters with representation in this film.
I do like how you say girl power, but you call a lady doctor a nurse.
I think
I can't operate on this man. He is my son.
Was she not? I thought she was like an anesthesiologist, basically, that comes in.
That's a doctor.
I suppose, if that's what they want to be. If she was a male anesthesiologist, I'd call him a nurse too.
Fair enough. Addison, would you like to respond to that point?
Yeah,
No.
is she a nurse?
Oh gosh. She works in the medical field, and she's really good at her job.
She wears
So
a
are her
little white
friends.
outfit.
They work really quickly and they're efficient.
All right, Mr. Banks, what else you got?
She wore a little white outfit. And of course, one of my favorite characters I'd have to touch on, JT, the barbecue cook, played by
Yes.
Jeff Fahey, making a return on ROJ from Lawnmower Man. So congratulations, Jeff. Welcome back. JT is such a likable character, even though his part is not that big. He's always talking about barbecue. He's always bringing barbecue back into the center of the conversation, no matter what's going on. But they do such a great job of paying that off later with his character. Throughout the film, he's always saying best in Texas about his barbecue. And then when he's dying with his brother, he says it later about his brother. You know, your brother's a good man. Best in Texas. It's you get a little choked up thinking about it. And then they have the great foreshadowing where he won't share his recipe with his brother, even if he was dying in his arms. But ultimately, as the two are dying in each other's arms, he gives up the secret recipe. And I love the final big laugh he gives just before he lets the explosions go. He just does the big JT laugh. So he just kind of gets all his shtick out right before he dies. It's like perfect melodrama personified. And even though it's there for comic relief, I think it adds a bit of pathos. I mean, I think everyone else here in the jury has a brother and knows what it's like to have a close connection with that brother. And if he was a sheriff who wanted your barbecue recipe, would you give it to him as you lay dying?
No.
Which
No.
brother?
You're right on one account, wrong on the other.
I would give it to Ben's brother if that's the question. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll share some
Addison,
with D-Rock for sure.
very good. So the barbecue lives on. Addison, would you like to respond to some of these side characters and how even they get little arcs like JT did?
No, I mean, I don't have an issue with the characters. I love Jeff Fahey as JT, and I love, Marley Shelton as Dr. Block. All that stuff is really cool and really funny to me. I agree.
Oh, well, a lot of agreements in court today. Mr. Bangs, bring it home.
Well, I wasn't agreeing with any of the things earlier. Just remember that. So, lastly, I'd like to touch on all the homages that Planet Terror plays to a lot of the other films in its genre, a lot of other zombie movies. Obviously, you can see the nods to Night of the Living Dead, especially with the sicko standing outside of JT's barbecue shack, just kind of staring. And obviously nods to the rest of Romero's Living Dead series. You think about the helicopter going across the path and mowing down everyone's head as it goes. Kind of makes me think of Dawn of the Dead.
The John Landis shot.
Wow! Jesus, Ryan.
Oh, but I can't make nurse jokes, but Ryan's
We're
allowed
gonna.
to.
So that was a joke. You were trying to make a joke.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
And then obviously nods even to the 1990 remake because they've got Tom Savini appearing in here as Deputy Tolo throughout, and so you get Tom to walk around in a lot of these scenes. Nods to some of Addison's favorites like Return of the Living Dead. I think the DC-2 gas is sort of a nod to 245 trioxin and the way it's sort of stored in barrels and leaks out to infect the victims. And we mentioned like the influence from Carpenter too, like with The Thing. He was playing the score of both The Thing and Escape from New York throughout production. But also the moment where it's Tarantino's sicko vomits up its intestines, right? And it hits the ground. Rodriguez filmed that, and then played it in reverse. And it's got that great splattering effect. It's very John Carpenter-y as those intestines hit the ground and sort of all spread out. So I think that's like a really cool moment.
A lot of elements of The Fog too.
Yeah, and some of those for us. Ryan, help me out. There's all those people walking around in gas.
Yeah, I mean the constant clouds of everything that's going on is definitely ripped off directly from The Fog.
Ripped off directly. It's an homage when
homage, dude, you're defending
homage.
it.
It's an homage, Ryan. It's not ripped off. It's an homage.
Yes, no, of course it is, Mr. Biggs.
It's Grindhouse. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right. But I think horror is my genre of choice. And while Death Proof has some violent elements, I'd say it's an action movie first and foremost, even though it only has like 20 minutes of action. But it wants to impress you with its spectacle of stunt work, whereas Planet Terror is a true horror movie that intends to gross you out or shock you with its violent content. You think about the unexpected moment of all the first group of girls dying in Death Proof. What about the unexpected moment of the little boy with the revolver in the car? Nobody thought that little boy was going to shoot his own face off, and they had the guts to go all the way through it.
I personally hate that scene.
Why? It's probably the best scene in the movie. It's excellent because if you gave a little boy a revolver, that's what would happen. And that little boy is actually...
I should respond to that. I'd be curious. Addison, why, what do you have against that scene? Why doesn't
I think
it work?
it's a total vibe killer. I think that, you pay your tickets to see a fun Grindhouse exploitation movie. I don't want to see children shooting themselves in the face. I don't want to see dogs run over by vehicles. Those are the moments that Robert Rodriguez thought were really funny, I guess. It's not funny to me. I think it's a vibe killer. I think it brings the movie down. I think that by having, I mean, I know what he's doing. He wants to be controversial. He wants to upset the audience, but I didn't come to be upset. I came to be entertained. Child violence, animal violence, I don't find that entertaining.
All right. Mr. Banks?
I do. I would just like to remind you that children grow up to be adults, and those adults have their brains eaten in this movie. So if you're like, ooh, eating adult brains, cool, shooting a child, bad, they're the same thing. It's the same
because they were once former children.
Right, exactly. We're all former children. So
we're all former children.
Right, exactly. And we're all animals, too.
It all balances
all the violence is animal violence anyhow. But that little boy was played by Robert Rodriguez's son, Rebel, because he could not kill any other child. He said he would feel guilty if he killed any
exactly.
So
he had
other than his own.
The kid did not know for 10 years that he died in the movie.
Correct. Robert Rodriguez shot almost every shot for the rest of the movie with his son running around as if he would survive too. As if he wasn't in the scene where he got his face shot in.
That's so cool.
I mean, knowing that kind of makes me like it better now. That's funny
right. It is pretty funny. Like he's running into the helicopter. You can see all the shots online that he's there for the rest of the movie, which is sort of great. So with that, we're gonna rest, Your Honor.
Very good. Both sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. Binek, you may begin.
Well, as I've previously stated, I feel like Death Proof stands as an educational film as well as entertaining. I mean, it inspired me to go and seek out all of these grindhouse exploitation drive-in movies. I wanted to know where their inspirations came from. I didn't feel that watching Planet Terror. I kind of got my goopy zombie movie, which is totally fine. It's entertaining on its own merits. But I feel like Death Proof, you're watching it much like Kill Bill, much like Django Unchained. It's a buffet of references, pastiches, information that inspire you to go and figure out and find out and watch what these movies were to this filmmaker. You can hear it, you can see it visually, you can hear the songs, you can hear it in dialogue. I just feel like Death Proof, it accomplished what it set out to do. And I didn't mention this earlier, when the whole movie was practically from conception to completion, it was less than 2 years, I think, because Tarantino was hanging out with Eli Roth during the shooting of Hostel 2 in Iceland and just wrote the scripts while, hanging out with him when his buddy was making a movie. That's why he's in Death Proof. But I feel like that and also that's the Grindhouse style. It's write the script in 3 days and have it on my desk by Monday. It's so stuffed with information and references and things that make you want to go watch other movies like that. But for me, Planet Terror is just kind of like, this is fun. This is an entertaining movie, but I don't feel inspired after I watch it. I'm entertained, but I don't feel a sense of, now I want to go watch a bunch of 70s car crash movies. I want to go watch a bunch of 80s Giallo movies. That's the feeling I get from Death Proof.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bangs, you may now present your closing argument.
Well, there's always room for Giallo.
Now,
originally,
Giallo shot.
Originally, I wasn't going to do a top 5 list because I do top 6 lists now. But even then, I wasn't going to do one. I don't think I need to do it every time, right, Ryan?
Right.
Then Schlenzo D insisted that if I didn't, I'd be phoning it in. So I'll give him exactly what he wants. Maynard Bang's top 6 ideas for weapons to replace Cherry Darling's legs that we didn't get to see in Planet Terror.
You son of a bitch, you did it!
In no particular order. Number 1, katana. She's high, roundhouse kicks you in the face, cuts your head right off. It writes itself. Number 2, a longbow. Her entire leg is the longbow, all right? And she can knock the arrows and pull back the string with the toes of her remaining foot, like a ballet type of
Tarantino
stance.
would love that.
I saw a video online of some lady archers pulling back bowstrings with their feet, so I know it's possible, and I found it very interesting.
I wonder why you were looking that up, though.
Facebook just shows me these things. Number 3, a whole ass attack dog. We just stitch this completely live Rottweiler to her stump, and it just attacks anyone who comes by.
Maybe
And it
2?
helps. It helps with mobility too, because I think she could probably figure out a way to ride the dog, or failing that, the dog could just drag her around.
Can it be 2 different dogs?
It may be, maybe even a third. We'll do the Cerberus. And so the dog can just drag her around while it does its thing. And you can substitute dog for platypus where applicable. Number 4, a Molotov cocktail. You've seen those huge beer boots, right? Well, just picture one filled with flammable liquids and a few dirty rags, and she kicks it gracefully towards her foes. Kaboom! Number 5, a medieval trebuchet. It's a type of catapult. I think that one's self-explanatory. And number 6, someone else's leg.
Damn it, I knew it was going to be another leg one.
Maybe someone dangerous, like Chuck Norris or something. The leg of someone who already knows karate. You know, that way you wouldn't have to teach.
Because that's how it works.
I've seen Hell to Pay. This does not work out.
Premium, bro.
Or the eye.
I was thinking of the eye in that. And that's it, Your Honor. Not guilty.
Well, you won me over after booing me.
For the 45 minutes ago.
And I didn't forget. Thank you all. Members of the jury, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, and Mr. Appearing as Fu Manchu, Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine which film is the superior movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
Right this way? You know, one night rubbing the bunions on my old granny's feet would cure Tarantino's foot fetish for life.
Or make him more interested, depending on how it goes.
Also, I like that the bailiff takes care of his grandma.
Of course.
And does weird things with her.
Well, of course.
Every grandma needs their bunions rubbed, Ryan.
Oh, God, I don't even know what to say to that. Okay, gentlemen. 2 movies. We're talking about 2 movies again. Even though we said we wouldn't do this more often. Well, here we are.
Been a while.
Ben, what you thinking, buddy?
I kind of wonder if I understand what Grindhouse is now. I'm kind of scared for my recommendation. Maybe I don't get it. Because I do kind of understand the delineation now that they're Addison's saying that Planet Terror is more of an exploitation film. Now seeing that, I could kind of understand that. I did sort of, when watching these, feel that Death Proof did fit more in like the line of like the Mystery Science Theater films we would see, like Kiss of Satan
from that movie. Village of the Giants. The opening theme is the theme to Death.
Yeah, Village of the Giants, the biker films. Like, it feels like that where, well, they do kind of go on and there's just like a few interesting ideas and a few interesting scenes that the whole movie was made for. Death Proof is like that. But on the flip side, Maynard's right. Those talking scenes do go on for friggin' ever. I just could not stand it in that extended cut. But I also think that Addison's right in that Planet Terror is more of a synthetic film. It's trying, it's imitating what it's trying to be, especially with those zombie references, like kind of going ahead. Like, you never know where this is at. You could feel like the scratches and everything that they do is like a filter applied to it, whereas Death Proof does have that authenticity to it. But both do have interesting characters. I do like Kurt Russell. I do like Cherry Darling. So I think both films are fine. It kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for, if I want something fun and mindless, or if I want something a bit more authentic. What do you think, Dylan?
To piggyback on your mentioning of the scratches in Planet Terror, I did a fake movie trailer in high school about 4 years before Planet Terror came out, and there was literally on the iMac iMovie, there was a filter that just added scratches and lines and dirt. It's just one of those things where when I finally saw it, I was like, so I could do this? Me, untalented me, I could fucking do this? Oh, Lord. Sorry, go ahead, Don.
Oh, I was just to add to that real quick. I actually made a very small short film myself that had like VHS tracking lines you could use as your transition. Nice. So I used that for all of them. So it is a neat effect. But anyway, go ahead, please.
I was about to say that I love Grindhouse as a complete experience. I'm not a fan of separating the films into different things, although I understand why they did it, because they wanted to appeal to video stores. And I was working at a Blockbuster when those movies came out separately. And we were waiting for months for Death Proof to come out. I believe Planet Terror came out first. And everybody was kind of like, yeah, it's fine, but I really want to see the second half. The only problem is that the trailers were not on those discs, which is a travesty.
No, there was
Those
Machete,
trailers
I
are
remember.
awesome.
Machetes,
But
machetes with Planet
Death
Terror.
Proof, I think, is the stronger of the two, simply because, as Addison mentioned, that Planet Terror is kind of satirical. Death Proof is kind of
Yes.
it's very much on its face what it says it's going to be. And I think that if you watch the extended version, you're missing out, because the chopped to pieces version is the only real version to watch of that film. And I love the chopped to pieces version. I will never watch the extended version ever again. Dylan, buddy, what are you thinking?
I think we had two very good cases, and this is what happens when you have the head to head. It's a bit tough because you can only tear down one so much, build it up so much. And I like the direction the lawyers went. I like Addison pointing out that Death Proof is probably the better Grindhouse film if you're looking at that genre, that niche specifically. But then to Maynard's point, Planet Terror is probably the better complete film. Like, I feel Planet Terror could exist outside of this realm. I feel like it would.
I'm not sure I agree. You think he just releases that on its own in a vacuum, not packaged as Grindhouse presents?
Look at Machete. He turned that into a real movie, and the movie sucks.
Right, exactly.
Well, here's the thing, though. Obviously there would be a few different choices, but there's no way you make Death Proof into a quote unquote real movie the way you could with Planet Terror. I mean,
I think they did make that back in the 70s, and that's kind of the point. Like a lot of those Mystery Science
but that's the
films
thing,
are
though.
that.
They were like those Grindhouse kind of movies. I'm just saying, I think there's a stronger story and better characters and better action in Planet Terror. Now, but to that end,
it's all idiosyncrasy, though. It's not really character. Every single character has a gimmick, and that's basically it.
No, but that's enough, though, because you get to close all those circles, even if it is just a gimmick. Like he was saying about Cherry Darling having that complete arc of finding her purpose, and then like Jeff Fahey's little thing about barbecue and then reconciling with his brother. Yes, it's melodrama, like Maynard said, but it is effective, and I think being able to close those loops as small as they are, even resolving the Josh Brolin dissolved marriage story, if you cared about that with the lady doctor, not the nurse. I like that Planet Terror had all these interesting little characters, and you got nice conclusions for all of them. And then the ones you didn't get conclusions for are just kind of like the background ones, like, the hot deputy whose clothes keep getting skippier and skippier. Like there's just little stuff like that. And maybe Rodriguez was looking at Grindhouse as more of a larf than Tarantino was, but I think it succeeded on a lot more levels, but it wasn't as successful as a Grindhouse movie as Death Proof was. But so it really depends if you're going to buy Addison's argument that we should be looking at what is the more effective Grindhouse movie versus what's the more effective movie. So
I think with Planet Terror, he's making somebody else's movie, but with Death Proof, that's Tarantino making his own movie.
Oh God, it's so Tarantino though. It's just like all Tarantino. Like Tarantino works when you can mix them in with things. It's like the difference between drinking vanilla extract and a vanilla milkshake. This is pure Tarantino extract. It's very tiresome.
As opposed to his other stuff? Like, I mean, like the reason like his other stuff is like so similar to the Grindhouse films is obviously because he admires them so much. So he'll borrow from those.
But Ben, you were just talking about how much you didn't enjoy the dialogue.
But it is authentic.
Yeah, but you think about the dialogue in some of his other, like, I'm not a big fan of Inglourious Bastards, but I'll take.
Yeah, no, I same flaw there. Yeah, some of those scenes do go
but
on.
I'll take the scene of them in the basement, with the orders where you accidentally
drinking beer,
three things and stuff. It's like there are Tarantino dialogue scenes that work, and I did not feel any of these. And then I don't care about the switcheroo. But I don't know why then you're building up the Jungle Julia like love story with this guy we never meet, and we don't get to explore a lot about Butterfly, and you don't care about it after the movie's over. But like even on a rewatch when you're watching, you're like, oh man, why were they spending so much time?
It's a lost reel, man.
To take them away. to rip them from
Yeah,
you.
but I don't feel like they were ripped away from me either, too. Like, because I didn't care that much, but it's like, okay, why do you want me to care? And it's like, oh, it's just because you're going to kill them, but they don't give you enough to work with. I think if you did let one of them survive, she came out and saved the other girls, and the other girls teamed up with her, and then they killed Stuntman Mike.
No,
I don't know.
Zoe Bell all the way, baby.
I
Zoe Bell is the
Zoe
hero
Bell.
of
She's
the film.
very good stunt woman, and it's my understanding that she even did her own stunts.
Yeah, she did.
For all that, which is impressive. You know, like there's a lot of technically impressive things.
She's the number one in her field.
Yeah, and I'm not disputing that. You know, but look, we're looking at a head to head. I do not look forward to watching any of these movies again. To be honest with you, I doubt.
I don't really either. To be,
but I'm just gonna say now. You know, if we have to look at what's the more effective Grindhouse movie, it's probably Death Proof. But if we're looking at what is the more complete movie, it's definitely Planet Terror. So I'm going to lock in Planet Terror tonight.
Ben?
They're both like gentleman sixes to me. They're okay. If someone forced me to watch either again, I would, and I don't think I'd hate it, but I don't think I'd choose it of my own volition.
But they both force you to do it.
So. Yeah, they did this time. They both have things that knock them down. With Planet Terror with its syntheticness, Death Proof with its incessant talking. But Death Proof has that Kurt Russell performance in it. It's so great. It has those car crashes. It does.
When he gets shot. No! Oh God! Oh no! Why?
So great.
Why?
Yeah,
so
Rose McGowan doesn't
funny.
do anything near that level in Planet Terror.
Oh God, I love it.
It's more authentic. It feels more like what it wants to be rather than an imitation of something else. I think Death Proof is the superior Grindhouse movie and the superior movie.
Well put, Ben, because you're right. I'm going Death Proof.
Oh!
Now let's go tell that upset, very handsome judge.
Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, you honor, you sweetie pie. In the case of Planet Terror versus Death Proof, we find in favor of Death Proof!
Order. The verdict is so rendered. Planet Terror is hereby sentenced to the passenger seat of Stuntman Mike's car, which is speeding away at least 103 miles per hour. Court is adjourned.
Well, hey there, I'm Stuntman Ben. Ask anyone. Hey, Dylan, who am I?
Stuntman Ben.
That's right. And you know how a lot of people have lists like, I got a laundry list, well, you're on my blacklist? Well, I actually do have a list, mostly of questions about verdicts. So, Maynard Bangs, what did you think of that one?
Hey, the list is my bit. Well, Stunt Ben, man. I'm not surprised by this. I know when we first discussed this head-to-head, I found that Planet Terror has higher ratings, at least on Rotten Tomatoes, than Death Proof, which I was pretty surprised by. So as long as we've set the ledger straight on that, going into it, I would have said Death Proof would have just totally creamed Planet Terror. But happened to watch them, especially the extended editions. I only really remember checking my watch during Death Proof, so this did bring Planet Terror up in my estimation. So it was a good case.
Well, damn if that answer don't make sugar taste like salt. Addison Binek, I've got miles to go before I sleep. Can you do them one better?
I appreciate you guys bringing me on here again. That was a lot of fun. This is actually one of my favorite theatrical experiences I've ever had. Splitting the films in half is a mistake. You shouldn't watch the extended versions of either film, I don't think. I agree with Ryan that the shortened version of Death Proof is superior, but it is fun and important to at least watch what Tarantino's original intentions were. I do believe the lap dance is amazing, but I understand why it's cut out. It's another Grindhouse thing, another Grindhouse throwback, is, you know, when projectionists would get these movies, they would snip out their favorite parts. So once these movies sort of toured around the country, sometimes a movie that started out in 90 minutes, now that it's returned, its theatrical run back to its distribution center, there's 20 minutes gone, and not for lurid content. Nobody censored the movie. It was just projectionists stealing their favorite sexy or more explicit. So that makes the movie even more, like, you know, in tune with what Grindhouse is all about. So You know, the only part that I really don't think it benefits from being extended is the opening dialogue with Jungle Julia and her gang, because the extended version, boy, even I struggle with that. I don't know. I do believe that if you're going to watch either film, you should watch them as Grindhouse with the trailers. That's the experience. That's what it's supposed to be.
You're here.
Well, that's all the time we've got here. I'll send you all on off to studio for post-trial analysis.
You sound madder than a mosquito in a mannequin factory.
Cowboy band, ladies and gentlemen.
That's doing the John Wayne thing. Yeah.
It's not too bad. I agree. You should watch it as Grindhouse. It was a really cool theater experience because the only theater near me, they were only showing it like starting at 10.
Same,
so, like, I had to
same
stay
in my
up.
college town.
Yeah. So you just had to stay up like so late on a school night, you know.
I was so freaked out because, as you know, I'm a puss. And I watch this movie at 10 p.m. It gets out at 1 a.m. and I have to walk back to my apartment. I'm like, I don't like this anymore. Why did I go see this movie?
I saw it at midnight, opening Friday night, and just wandering into the 3 a.m. abyss of like downtown with my buddies was like, holy shit! Like what an experience! You know, how fun was that?
Yeah. No, it was definitely something. If this is something that were to come back to, like the drive-in.
Oh God, I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah,
so much.
I would go see it then, but I'm not watching it on the small screen again. No.
It's not as fun even like because it took a long time for the movie to get like a solo release where the movies were back together with the trailers and everything. Like that took a little bit of time.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, but that's a long separation between like the original theatrical experience and then now you get the experience at home. But for the longest time, you know, people were just watching the movie separately, and it's not quite the same without the machete trailer up front and the 3 trailers in the middle. It's designed in a way to be a 3-hour experience that you sit down in the theater and watch. It's not even the same when you watch both movies stitched back together at home. It's just not the same. It's supposed to be a rowdy ass crowd. You should see it at 10 o'clock. You should see it at midnight because that's what these movies just are to me.
I still maintain that the only reason we have the complete version on Blu-ray right now is because video stores are dead.
Yes, sure.
If they had survived, we'd be waiting for years to actually get it. We probably still wouldn't have it by now. It would be
then
streaming.
It was all worth it.
Indeed. So, Addison, what's been keeping you busy lately? What have you been up to?
Well, I mean, I'm taking a break right now from for a while. I was doing a lot of traveling. You know, I was going around with Psycho Wave 2. I was bouncing around from like Iowa City to, Delaware and California last year, Florida twice. You know, so I've been around with that movie. You know, Psycho Wave 2 had its run. I was there for every screening, and it was a lot of fun, but it was financially draining. I mean, it doesn't really matter how many tickets you sell or how much merchandise you sell, because at the end of the day, I mean, the prices for flights are insane, and the gas and everything. I was just breaking even or losing money on every endeavor. So I'm kind of doing a pause right now and editing things and writing things, but I don't have anything fully like prepared, like really done or anything like just stuff, just this kind of stuff in the air, just kind of spinning plates and just working and watching movies, you know?
NDAs, huh? Can't tell us.
Well, I'd heard you'd had some sort of rough magnum opus follow-up all about people eating things.
Well, it started out as magnum opus 2, yes. I bought a new camera this summer, and just for fun, I started filming stuff at some of these conventions that I was going to. And it started out as magnum opus 2. That is what it started out as. That was the intention. But once I started filming with people who were volunteering to do stuff for the movie, I quickly realized, God, people just want to eat stuff. I don't know what it is. Like, these people are just volunteering, like, I mean, I understand not wanting to throw yourself down some flight of stairs or, you know, getting shot off into oblivion.
Take one for the team.
But, you know, once I started putting the movie together and I've got 35 minutes cut, and like, it's all food related. Like, how did this happen? So it's
like
no
Weird
longer,
Al.
yes, I'm sort of making the food movie. Like, instead of the food album, like Weird Al's best of greatest hits with all of his food songs, I guess I'm just making a movie where it's a bunch of people eating food in excess or eating gross stuff. That's what it is. So it's not magnum opus 2. It's a whole different thing. And I didn't really realize what it was until I started piecing the movie together and cutting down segments, because there's 5 segments so far overall, and it's 35 minutes long. And it's like I went to a convention called Gross Fest, and that's in Pittsburgh. And somebody volunteered to... They were going to eat 20 hot dogs. That was the bit. That was going to be for Magnum Opus 2. And they tapped out at 5. And I was like, well, I've still got 50 hot dogs.
That's what happened when I tried to do push-ups.
You got to sell that to Food Network before Netflix buys Warner Brothers and cancels everything out. You got to get your money, baby.
Buy me a 72-ounce steak and I'll eat it for your movie.
Okay. I mean, I want to get it to 55 minutes. That's the arbitrary number that I've chosen. A little under an hour, but still over like a short...
Counts as a short film at the Academy Awards.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's basically the only reason I chose that number.
Maynard and I have done Junk Mouth together, right, on Damn Dirty Drive-In.
So, yeah, that's just that's been taking up some of my time. It's not like... I'll pop back into Final Cut Pro and I'll edit a little bit of it here and there, but like... the Ratatouille girl from Psycho Ape and Psycho Ape 2, she's in this, and she's a big fan of Magnum Opus. Like, she's not in that, but she wanted to be in Magnum Opus 2. So she pitched me this idea where she wanted to go to a beach, and in Magnum Opus, there's a scene where a girl eats a potato chip covered in sand, and so she wanted to outdo that. So her idea was to make a peanut butter sandwich and cover it in beach sand. No! That's a whole 7-minute long segment in this thing where she literally step by step makes a peanut butter sandwich sitting on the beach with beachgoers everywhere, nobody paying attention to us, no one cares. And she sits there and eats 2 sand sandwiches and disgusting...
She ate 2? She was still hungry?
2. Yes. And
it was brown sugar.
Oh no! I shot it in with my new 4K camera. So each granule sparkles in the sun.
Oh, she should have made the jelly with a jellyfish. Could have been the other sandwich.
Not a lot of jellyfish
SpongeBob,
in Michigan.
It might be SpongeBob, Ryan. Anyway, you should have Schlenzo in your movie if you want to see a man eat surprisingly little sushi.
Well, I'm looking. I need more footage. I need to beef this movie up because, like I said, I've got 35 minutes and I want to add 20 more just for no reason.
You know what? I will make a tuna sandwich and eat it as long as there's Dijon. Is that extreme enough for you?
Oh, make it weird. Wear a funny hat or something.
I always do.
It's gotta be more than a funny hat. Get at this is Magnum Opus 2.
This isn't Magnum Opus 2 anymore. It's not. It's a totally different project. So I'm retitling it
Sand Sandwich.
Well, it's a hot dogumentary, 55 minutes of people eating food. Just the stupidest, dumbest thing I could possibly think of. But I'm going to treat it like a real movie, and I'm going to send it to all of the same conventions and all of the same festivals that I send all my other shit to. I'm going to treat it like it's as equal as all that stuff, just for my own amusement.
Slam Dance is going to be calling you immediately, going, "Yeah, sure, put it up, whatever."
If they want to fund a sequel, I'm sure people will eat more hot dogs. There's no shortage of that.
I could beat 5.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Yeah, right.
It became a whole thing. Like I filmed him. Like we got the hot dogs at the grocery store, and then we microwaved them in the kitchen area of the hotel room, and then he went outside and he stopped after 5, and I was like, dude, there's still like 3 plates of hot dogs. And it was at a convention, so the following day I asked one of the actresses who were there if she would partake, and so she ate about 7.
He got outdone like immediately by like the very next person. I love that.
Yeah. Never stopped that guy. Shame on you, man, who could only eat 5 hot dogs. You shouldn't have filled up on that lamb before.
Yeah,
I already had.
That's what I did wrong.
Yeah, bring it on. You know.
What we discovered was that because I did this a couple times with like a couple other different people. There was another guy who he wanted to eat 100 tacos, and so I thought, okay, sure, we'll see what happens. We'll see.
I remember doing the math for that, and it was like he died.
yeah. So he tapped out at 5 as well. So 5 just kind of seems like this weird number that you can reach.
5 is nothing as far as tacos. I mean,
I know, but he tapped out at 5, but it's still a segment in the movie.
I'm thinking I could eat 10 McDoubles right now.
Once you're being filmed, you can't perform. It's a known mental block.
You say this now. I've talked to people and I've filmed them throwing down the gauntlet. They're gonna do it, and then once the camera's on, I don't know if something happens where maybe they get nervous or maybe.
I think that's your movie. I think your movie is people thinking they can eat a lot.
That is a movie, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
And how wrong they are.
It's very strange. Like someone threw around like it's the title like the Fail Olympics or worst food challenge ever, and it's true that like someone will say
your
like
eyes are bigger than your stomach.
100 tacos, and they at 5 they can't do anymore. It's just this weird like stop. I don't understand.
Are we talking Taco Bell tacos?
No, they were just like regular street tacos. They were
street
small.
tacos. I could eat 20 street tacos. I don't know. I'll be in your movie, Addison. I could do some of this stuff.
Okay.
I want to see Dylan tap out at 5. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I say you call it eyes are bigger than your stomach.
Eyes are bigger than your stomach.
There's
Something
that,
like
but then
that.
I also believe what I've discovered through doing this was I think what people have been doing is they don't eat all day. And so by the time we get to filming, their stomach, their digestive system hasn't had any food all day. So then they try to slam as much food as they can in a short amount of time, and their stomach rejects it. They just can't do it.
Dude, whenever I'm about to eat a big steak, I'm always sure to have at least 1 or 2 smaller steaks earlier in the day.
Yeah.
You guys are laughing. It's 100% true.
Not untrue
I
at
think
all.
that's true.
These are my warm-up steaks.
Correct.
No, I think that you have to.
Pre-game
It's like with any workout or with any sort of anything. Like you can't just do it. Like you can't just do 100 push-ups. You have to slowly get there. And I think the same thing applies to eating. What I'm discovering, trying to film this movie, is I think that they think that I'll starve myself all day. And then at 5, when we're
Then it'll
filming,
be a cakewalk, yeah.
A cakewalk because I'll be hungry. But then what actually happens is once they get 5 tacos in or 5 hot dogs in, their stomach just clams up and they can't do anymore.
You know what, Addison? You should look at if you like Joey Chestnut would be probably too big, but there's some competitive eaters out there you can interview and show them some of this footage and get them to weigh in on it. I bet that would be good.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the more just sort of like just bizarre, weird things that's going to be in my filmography.
Hey, you were saying you didn't have anything. This is brilliant, dude. What are you talking
about? I'm sort of sheepish about it because it's not a real movie. It's just something very strange that I'm working on, and no one's seen any of it yet.
Nobody else is doing it either.
No one else is doing it, but it started out as Magnum Opus 2, and now it's become this weird food eating film, and take that as what you might say or interpret. I don't know. It's a very.
We're gonna do like a Knives Out movie and say like a Magnum Opus movie or something.
Yes, dude. All right, we are all executive producers now. Okay.
All right. We could be footage contributors and idea consultants. Cause
I'm not eating a damn thing. Not a freak show for you dancing monkey.
Well, man, what if you make those protein balls? Dude, man, make those protein balls. I'll eat 50 of those for the movie.
That I doubt. Those things are sturdy.
They do fill you up fast. That's true.
Yeah, it's been weird. It's been a strange sort of process of thinking I'm filming one thing, but then once I start editing it, it's a whole different ballgame because it's just like, how did I end up with 35 minutes of just people eating food? That's not what Magnum Opus 2 was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's exactly how Coppola ended up making The Godfather Part 2.
All started with people just eating food. So Addison, we always ask our guests for movies you think people should see. So what is a movie you think people should see?
Well, I guess to piggyback maybe on tonight's head-to-head.
Don't do it, Addison.
What?
I want you to watch Hot Documentary.
Do it. No, do it. I know what you're gonna do. Do it.
What? Kill Bill the Whole Bloody?
Yes.
Oh.
Has that already
God
been?
damn it! No, that was going to be
no,
mine
do it.
this week.
Oh, okay.
Ryan,
do it.
as well. It'll be both of you. You guys will be recommendation buddies.
Sorry. I saw it last weekend, and I had never done that before. I had never watched both Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 back to back. Like,
Really?
I watched them separately. I don't I don't stick them back together. So that was the first time, in general, not just in a theatrical setting, but first time period where I had seen the whole thing for 4.5 hours. And that was quite something. I mean, you really understand like every aspect of the film from top to bottom. Like, I wasn't quite sure how they would sort of fit back together, because they're both halves are distinctly different, like the first half is like an homage to Hong Kong kung fu samurai action movies, but then the second half is kind of a spaghetti western with kung fu elements in it. And so would this go back together as a whole? And it absolutely does.
Is it extended at all, Ryan?
Yes, it is.
The animated sequence that's in the movie is you now see what happens to Boss Tanaka's assistant, who essentially burns down her family home because he never gets his comeuppance in the original cut. So they went back and they spent like $1 million to animate a whole new sequence that was a part of the original script, but Tarantino just didn't do it. So now that's in the movie, and it's a little strange because the animation looks different. It's way more polished and like new looking compared to the old animation sequence.
And
but still,
Uma's voiceover is clearly done 15 years later.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little jarring. But I don't know. The whole sprawling 4.5 hours, man, that was something else. Like that was a time at the movies.
Nice. Awesome.
I missed it. Gonna have to see it when it gets released at home.
I mean, you could already just watch Kill Bill at home.
No, not with the joined anime and stuff.
No, it's also all of the whole the crazy 88 sequence is now fully in color.
Yes,
as opposed to black and white.
Because this is unrated.
Yes, this is unrated, so they can get away with the blood and gore. But also, I mean, there's snippets in that fight scene that were added back. Like, I mean, we're talking. It's not a lot, but
it's enough. It's enough.
Enough. Like eyeballs being plucked out and thrown down people's mouths.
People getting cut in half.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it's crazy. It does add something to it.
I mean, one guy does get killed in the theatrical cut vertically, but this time it's horizontally.
Yes,
and it makes an impact.
You can tell.
Seems like vertically would be more gruesome. There's more surface area.
I agree.
No, but you get to see the guy slowly slide apart.
Yeah,
it's such a great moment. Oh,
it's very visceral. It's very visceral. And
Maul got cut horizontally, and that was PG.
Yeah, but there's no blood.
It got better.
If you watch like Volume 1, there's like there's a rhythm to the editing of that fight scene, and some parts feel a little off, just for whatever reason. But now when you watch this version, you're like, oh, that's why the rhythm kind of breaks there or trails off there. It's because there's snippets of gore that were removed. And so it's like a song. It's like, the beat kind of goes here, goes there. And so something's off. But now fully uncut, it's like, oh yeah, it's all there. This is the whole track.
I'm glad you brought up music because that whole part of the movie is 20 minutes of wall-to-wall needle drops. And it's probably the best thing Quentin Tarantino's ever done.
I agree. I love that fight scene, and now I love it even more.
But Tarantino, stop giving interviews. You're a jackass. Shut your mouth.
Yes.
Just make your
I
movie.
can't defend that the guy says anymore. It sucks. But boy, can he make a movie.
Agreed.
And leave Paul Dano alone.
Did you have more, Ryan?
I did, but I'm going to skip it.
Ryan will tell us more about it at the end. We're gonna bookend. We're gonna get both Kill Bill, Rex.
Nope, too late.
No.
Still talking about Kill Bill. It was awesome.
We're going to hold you down and tickle you till you give it to us. But before then, my recommendation also features a girl who has replaced a lost limb with a deadly weapon. It's 2008's The Machine Girl. After the local crime syndicate kills her family and mangles her arm, a young schoolgirl replaces the limb with a custom machine gun and swears her revenge. Don't worry, it'll make more sense in a second. This Japanese film was produced by our friends at Nikatsu, who typically deal in Yakuza and Pink-type films, although they did dabble in kaiju fare a bit in the 60s, giving us Gappa the Triphibian Monster. I was surprised to find this wasn't inspired or based on any existing anime or mangas. It sure has those sorts of sensibilities. And I was also hoping to find some kind of logical anchor for why they made even half the decisions they did. If you rate a film by how many times it made me say, what the fuck, out loud, this was a solid 8. The acting was as melodramatic as you might expect, but we should give these ladies a pass, as many of them got their starts as mattress actresses. The men have no excuse, however. Many, though not all, of the effects are largely practical, and fans of the huge geysers of blood seen in the Kill Bill films will find plenty of the same here. I know there is also a man who is chopped vertically and splits slowly, and then I think there's somebody who gets sliced in many pieces and then falls apart slowly. So there's a lot of those moments in there too. It's hyper-violent, incredibly gory, highly sexualized, and full of gravure models. So I know Addison will absolutely love it. But I also think it's up Ben's alley, and maybe in his weaker moments, Ryan too. But Schlenzo would absolutely hate it. Far too vulgar and graphic for his tastes, which is too bad because it's currently streaming on Tubi.
Oh, well, I'll give anything on Tubi a shot.
Yeah, give it a shot.
I'm kind of surprised it's on Tubi.
Based on what Maynard just said, I'm not surprised at all.
No, I'm not.
No.
It sounds like it should be on Arrow Player. That sounds like a weird
by
shit
Media
that's right up their
I
alley.
wonder how long it's been on Tubi for, just because we had a hell of a time getting Psycho Ape onto Tubi. I mean, their restrictions are like crazy. I'm thinking maybe it's just because we are just independent filmmakers and we don't have like a big distribution system or anything like that. But we kept getting bullet points back of like, this is too weird, or this is too graphic, or this is too that.
Oh, on content. Well, I thought you were having problems with like format, like frame sizes and stuff.
No, content. They don't advertise themselves as like a censorship like anything, but they kind of are. Like there are certain things that they make certain filmmakers like remove nudity or remove gore, and we're just kind of like,
Tubi does?
Yes, they do. They well, for independent.
That's not the Tubi, I know. Wow.
No, it didn't used to be like that. No, that's new. That's like in the last maybe year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Getting your independent film onto Tubi now is kind of a pain in the ass.
Well, I don't know if Nakatsu is independent. Maybe they might be. But I mean, they definitely have good distributions, and it was also produced by like Media Blasters.
Yeah,
who did like Tokyo Shock.
Okay, that makes sense.
Shock releases.
Yeah.
So it had some. They might have most of their library on there. I don't know. That wouldn't surprise me. Possible. Schlenzo, what have you got for us?
Oh, thank you, Maynard. As
Kill
long
Bill?
time. What's this?
It's not Kill Bill, is it?
That would have been funny. The whole bloody affair, then Kill Bill 1 and Kill Bill 2.
I would not take a recommendation that someone called dibs on. Now,
I don't like the dib system.
as longtime listeners of the show know, that is to say, longtime listeners like our good friend Addison Binek, I love cozy mysteries. I love murder mysteries, and I love solving them before everyone else. So imagine my delight at this 2025 offering featuring a star-studded cast with James Bond himself. I am, of course, recommending the Thursday Murder Club. A group of pensioners in merry old England get together in their palatial retirement home to work on cold cases and swap cakes. It's lovely. It's how I want to spend my retirement, naturally. So, a murder lands on the front step, and these geriatric would-be sleuths hit the ground running. Well, shuffling briskly. The movie is well acted and well paced, and naturally, of course, I figured it out. The case is in 2 parts, and I almost missed the second, but there was a crucial clue that I picked up on early where everything fell into place. On the main, it was a nice and tidy mystery worthy of shows like Monk or Columbo. I see potential for a series here, and since it's based on a series of books, I think we can safely look forward to another one in about 2 years, assuming Ben Kingsley does not pass away. The Thursday Murder Club is streaming on Netflix. Support your local library.
Ben Kingsley wasn't James Bond.
Yeah, I know. No, you see, because I was doing a fake out. I was making it look like I was going to say Don't Wake the Dead Man, but I did the Thursday Murder Club because it's got Pierce Brosnan instead of Daniel Craig. It's very clever
Well,
stuff.
I already called dibs on Wake Up Dead Man, so whatever.
Which is precisely why I mentioned the dibs system earlier. I was hoping to give you a little fake out.
Ben, show us what your non-dibbed recommendation is.
For my recommendation, I'll suggest a film that I thought might amount to a Grindhouse film in Japan, though now I think I misunderstand what that even is. Wikipedia says it's more of a Japanese new wave, whatever that means. It's 1966's The Face of Another. The film using... No tentacles. The film using outlandish imagery in places, particularly in a laboratory, centers around a man who lost his face in a lab accident. So you might say they took his face off. Similar to Castor Troy, he seeks to have another face on with advanced form of plastic surgery. but he can only wear that face for 12 hours at a time, a deal he is willing to take, as with his face off, he finds nothing but judgment from society at large as he walks around with his head covered in bandages. The film hits a lot of interesting notes, not just in story, but also another story woven in where an otherwise very pretty girl has half of her face burned during the atomic bombing. Both characters find how differently they're treated, one with the face of another and hers when it's in full view. People like kind of hit on her and do catcalls, and then she turns and see that half of her is kind of ugly, and immediately they kind of change their tune. It makes you wonder if you had a beautiful face, like a truly beautiful face, and could also experience a face of an ugly person, a truly ugly person, would you behave differently in these scenarios? Even though you had the same body underneath, I'd have to imagine on some level you would. I think that someone who looks like Chris Hemsworth gets called creepy. Like, he wouldn't get called creepy for coming onto a woman nearly as often as someone who, I don't want to call anyone out, but, a less attractive person who would lack that confidence. Like, you get kind of a feedback circuit if people like continually think you look awesome. Further, the film posits that a world where people could swap faces would also create a world with very loose morality, as with a fake identity, one might slip into their darker desires. Lower budget, but with an eye for experimentation, I can see this film fitting in with those discussed today, but maybe Addison can tell me why I'm wrong.
Ben, are you sure you didn't watch Darkman with Japanese subs?
It sounds like Darkman with Japanese subs.
I haven't seen Darkman with Japanese subs.
Well, no, you have. You just didn't know.
I just watched Darkman like 3 days ago.
Why didn't you recommend that? You would have saved Ryan a huge headache.
Sorry, that was actually my number 2.
It would be perfect. But don't worry, Ryan's going to tell us all about how much he liked Kill Bill. Ryan, tell us all about it.
My recommendation this week is a recent release having made it to theaters 2 weeks before recording, a Norwegian film from Joachim Trier, director of my favorite film of 2021, The Worst Person in the World, a dramedy called Sentimental Value. It follows the daughters of a renowned film director, played by worst person leading lady Renate Rensvi, I definitely screwed up her last name, and the lovely dead ringer for Kobe Smulders, Inga Ibsdottir Lily Oz. The director is played by the great Stellan Skarsgård, and fun fact, he's actually the father of 27 children in the industry. 1/5 of all movies star as Skarsgård. His character is known for making autobiographical films, and his daughters are pushing back against his first film in 15 years because it hews too closely to their actual lives and anxieties. It's downright Bergman-esque, which is ironic because it reminds me a little bit of a movie I previously recommended, Bergman Island. It can't eclipse Worst Person in My Eyes and therefore won't be my favorite film of 2025, but it's in the top 5 for sure. Since Sentimental Value is a Neon release, you can expect it to stream eventually on Hulu, although I'm praying for a Criterion 4K release. That's all I got. Boom, bitches.
You have backups, yet I couldn't do Wake Up Dead Man. What is this?
I thought he said Birdman, not Bergman. I've been making an ass of myself.
Ryan is the only guy whose recommendation you could steal. He would have another one ready. The rest of us would be pissed.
Have I recommended Ghostbusters yet?
Yes, many times.
Oh, no.
And with
who am I going to call?
We're all out of show, but we want to thank our guest, Addison Binek, for joining us. Thank you so much, Addison.
Hey, thank you guys. Seriously, I think this may have been my favorite one so far. Like, I think what was this, number 4?
Number 4.
And
next time you come back, you got to face off against Ryan, and then you faced off against all of us.
Oh wow!
Good luck.
I might do okay if it's if it's the right movie. I don't know. It depends.
It probably won't be, but we're gonna have fun anyway.
Yeah. We happened to cross paths with something that I very genuinely near and dear to my heart. You know what I mean? Like, this is right down the barrel of one of my favorite things to talk about. So perfect.
It showed. You did such a good job, man. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
And I liked it too. And we look forward to having you back. You're going to tell us more about the movie where people eat things, but not as
well.
many
If you guys volunteer, I'll put footage of you guys eating things.
I will eat 20 Tootsie Rolls and stop at 5.
That's quite the challenge. because I've been messaging people like, hey, you're in this. Hey, you're in this. This is the movie now. It's not Magnum Opus 2. And I think they're a little confused. Like, what is it now? It's just a food eating
Just
movie?
send them
Like,
this
what?
episode and everything will make sense.
Yes.
Well, I don't, and like some of these people are like filmmakers themselves, you know? So now they're on the other side of the camera shoveling down hot dogs, but failing to live up to the gauntlet that they throw. And it's just like, well, here are the first 6 minutes of the movie. And I don't know how they feel about that, but whatever. Like I said, I'm still going to treat it as a real thing. Like I'm still going to send it around. And these people who are more accustomed to being behind the scenes are now front and center eating food in my movie. So I don't, it's going to be a very, very weird.
Get a letterbox credit.
That's how it works.
Yeah,
Well,
that'll be a weird
on
one.
most
I'll
of his
be
credits.
monitoring the reviews on that and just like, if you like it, cool. If you don't, I understand. It's not really a movie.
I get it. I get
Like we
it.
said, send them this episode and it all makes sense. And we look forward to having you back as well. We hope everyone else will check us out again too, as the Reels of Justice keep turning.
Count it.
Sweetie pie.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.